What do a mummy, a cannibal, and a superhero have in common? They were all based on real people. Today, we're peeling back the curtain on famous fictional characters who didn't just spring from imagination. They were inspired by actual human beings. So grab your popcorn. This is where Hollywood meets history.
Welcome to History Corner.
First up, the whip-cracking, fedora-wearing archaeologist, Indiana Jones. Turns out, Indy isn't just Spielberg's fever dream. He was inspired by real-life archaeologists like Hiram Bingham, who rediscovered Machu Picchu, and Roy Chapman Andrews, a swashbuckling adventurer who explored the Gobi Desert in the 1920s. Andrews rode camels, packed heat, and wore a wide-brimmed hat looking suspiciously like a guy who would say, "It belongs in a museum." Next, let's talk about the original masked vigilante, Zorro. This sword-swinging, cape-wearing hero was inspired by Joaquin Murrieta, a legendary figure from 1800 California. The popular legend of Joaquin Murrieta was that he was a gold miner and a vaquero. He was driven to revenge after he and his brother were falsely accused of stealing a mule. His brother was hanged, and Murrieta was horsewhipped. His young wife was raped. Some say he robbed the rich to avenge his family. Others say he just robbed. Either way, he definitely knew how to leave a mark, just not in the shape of a Z. Iron Man himself, Tony Stark, has a flashy suit and a bigger ego. But his roots go back to Howard Hughes. Hughes was a billionaire inventor, pilot, and movie producer who loved fast planes and slowly spiraled into paranoia. Sound familiar? Hughes was brilliant but troubled, like Stark, minus the flying suit and friendly AI assistant. Do you feel lucky, punk? Dirty Harry Callahan, the grizzled San Francisco cop, was loosely based on real San Francisco police inspector Dave Toschi. Toschi investigated the Zodiac killings and was known for his flashy bow ties and unconventional methods. Harry just had more firepower. You'd think a spinach-fueled sailor with forearms like bowling pins was pure fiction, right? Nope. Popeye was inspired by a real guy named Frank Rocky Fiegel, a tough, pipe-smoking man from Chester, Illinois, who wasn't afraid to throw a punch. He even had the squinty eye and jawline to match. No word on whether or not he ever rescued Olive Oyl, though. Misery loves company. And Annie Wilkes really loved her favorite author. Stephen King's infamous #1 fan was partly inspired by Janine Jones, a real-life nurse suspected of killing dozens of patients under her care in the 70s and 80s. King was also fascinated by the idea of toxic fandom, a very real thing even back then. Down the rabbit hole we go. Lewis Carroll's Alice was based on Alice Liddell, the daughter of his friend. Carroll would tell her whimsical stories that eventually became the weird and wonderful trip that is Alice in Wonderland. No word on whether she ever encountered a talking caterpillar, though. Before he was the terrifying villain in The Mummy, Imhotep was an ancient Egyptian genius around 2650 BC, priest, architect, healer, and later deified. The Hollywood version missed the brilliant scientist part and went full ancient curse, but hey, creative license. Stranded on a desert island with only a goat in your thoughts? Sounds like Robinson Crusoe. He was inspired by Alexander Selkirk, Scottish sailor left alone on a deserted island off Chile in 1704. Selkirk survived 4 years with only goats, wild cats, and some seriously loud thoughts for company. Selkirk didn't have a manservant named Friday, but he did have plenty of loneliness and ingenuity. Your worst nightmares have a name: Freddy Krueger. Wes Craven based him on 2 things: a scary man he saw outside his window as a kid, and a group of Southeast Asian refugees in the 1980s who died in their sleep after reporting terrifying nightmares. Spooky. Sleep tight. If you've seen The French Connection, you've met Jimmy Popeye Doyle. He's based on real narcotics cop Eddie Egan, who was loud, relentless, and bent the rules like a pretzel. The film's chaotic car chase, inspired by Egan's real pursuit of international heroin smugglers. Egan even played Doyle's supervisor in the film. Say hello, or maybe don't, to Norman Bates. Alfred Hitchcock's creepy motel manager was inspired by none other than Ed Gein, the notorious 1950s killer from Wisconsin. Gein robbed graves, made furniture from human remains, and had a complex relationship with his mother. Gein also inspired Leatherface and Buffalo Bill. Basically, the guy had a very disturbing legacy. Our favourite paleontologist from Jurassic Park, Dr. Alan Grant, was based in part on real-life paleontologist Jack Horner. Horner discovered dinosaur nesting sites and changed our understanding of how dinos cared for their young. Horner worked closely with Spielberg and even influenced Grant's attitude and even helped design the velociraptors. Dinosaurs may be extinct, but cool scientists, alive and well. Elementary, my dear viewer. That master of deduction, Sherlock Holmes, was inspired by Dr. Joseph Bell, a medical professor who could diagnose patients with almost no info, relying on tiny details. Sound familiar? Arthur Conan Doyle studied under Bell. He was basically House, but with better manners and a deerstalker hat. Last, but not least, the charming cannibal, Hannibal Lecter. Author Thomas Harris based him on Dr. Alfredo Trevino, an actual Mexican doctor and murderer Harris met while researching another inmate and was struck by the doctor's intelligence and eerie calm. The doctor was soft-spoken, brilliant, and oh yeah, killed people. Dinner reservations, anyone? And there you have it. Some of our favourite fictional characters who were inspired by real people. Behind every swashbuckling hero, creepy villain, or raptor-chasing scientist, there's often a real person who inspired it all, whether they knew it or not. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories from history. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you next time.